Sharon seems to remember me fondly because I was his first challenger as a gym leader, which is more than can be said for YouTube video makers and first commenters. So, here we are at the semi-finals. The winner will move on to face, spoilers, Colress. And last time we had the Hugh battle theme, this time we have the gym leader battle theme. So it's something I like about this place is that they really put the appropriate music for the opponent that you're challenging instead of just going with the regular trainer battle theme. Anyway, oh wow, Stoutland actually managed to survive this thanks to Intimidate. However, just like that Simisage from earlier, it's not attacking at all, so I'm going to finish it off with Slash. No free switch, so I can't just get rid of that Intimidate as I please, but an Earthquake should get rid of this Cinccino just fine, considering that it's much less bulky than the Stoutland. So, last is Watchog, which is an even worse Pokemon all around. So, you know, Intimidate or not, that was still total freaking ownage. So, once again, total annihilation. I wonder if it's going to be a suspenseful, close, incredibly awesome match, yet again, according to the announcer. But anyway, Sharon has to admit defeat, so, yeah, you can spare us the philosophical crap, especially considering that you're on a stage in front of thousands of people that didn't come here for that. They came here for awesome battles. It's a tremendous battle! Holy crap! They are either completely easily amused or they just aren't seeing the same match I am. So, it's me versus Colress for the title of champion of this Driftvale tournament. So, of course, since it's the finals, it's going to be a little bit flashier. And I can't really make out what the crowd is chanting, but it's probably meant to be nothing in particular, just random noise. So, here comes Colress. It's sort of weird to have a guy like Colress, you know, a scientist, come out to such a flashy entrance, but maybe it's just me. So, Colress is going to introduce himself once again, what his purpose is, as if we didn't know it already. As I said before, cut to the chase, man! These people came here to see a battle, not hear you babble on about how to bring out the power of your Pokemon. For all that, bringing out the power of your Pokemon more effectively makes for much better battles. Oh, and by the way, this battle gets a theme that is its own special theme. It's not the Colress theme that seems to be so popular. Personally, I don't see the big deal because, well, I just like the Cyrus battle theme so much better, it's not even funny. So, Earthquake on Magneton, didn't even have the time to pull off a Magnet Rise, because, well, of course, it's slower. LGM, believe it or not, this thing doesn't have Levitate, so very vulnerable to this OP Earthquake. Goes down, and the last Pokemon is Clank. I already won! I already want one. Why even bother having me murder this thing when you know that it's just not going to matter how hard you try. So I win this entire tournament without taking any damage whatsoever. Of course, Hugh and Sharon decided to be dumb about it, but nonetheless, it was not even close. I completely stampeded all over this tournament, no matter what this delusional announcer has to say about it. So, this concludes the Driftvale tournament. As I said before, that was just a hands-on tutorial. If you want to come back here, your levels will be brought back down to 25. So, now that I've won the Driftvale tournament, I am going to be awarded 1 BP! Oh my god! This is going to allow me to buy so much! Of course, it's going to... It takes a little while to grind BP like that. And as a side note, if you lose the Pokemon World Tournament, you get a consolation prize that is a shard of a certain color, which is, I guess, sort of an okay method to grind for them, but I find the FunFest missions to be a lot better for that. So, now that the Pokemon World Tournament has featured some amazing, incredible, close battles, now suddenly it's all the rage, and everyone, including gym leaders, well, even though Sharon was already there and Clay was involved in the making of this whole thing, but other gym leaders, like Roxy, want to join in on the fun. So, now that we are done with the Pokemon World Tournament, let's just see what Sharon and Hugh have to say. Well, of course, it's not going to happen because you're not a child prodigy like I am. Well, at least like my playable character is, because I'm not a child anymore. But anyway, let's head out of this place. And as we get out, yep, there should be some story progression. So, yeah, once again, little three-way conversation here. So, yeah, of course we're way different. Remember, well, what I had when I fought Sharon in Aspertia City? It was just my tapping and nothing else. Anyway, we got a Team Plasma Grunt running by, which is never a good sign. So, okay, so Colress decides to butt in instead of us just going after Team Plasma, see what they're up to. So, once again, you blah blah blah, purloin. It's like the only word he knows aside from, I'll never forgive Team Plasma! And even Sharon decides, I've got his back, so I guess I pretty much have no choice, but, Colress, well, yeah, you don't understand, because, you know what? You should know for reasons that are pretty spoilerific, so I'm not gonna get into them here, but the fact is, you should know that villainous teams are absolutely scrubbish and pathetic. Even people that recently became trainers kick their butts all over the place. In fact, it's always people that just became trainers. Fuck the Sinnoh champion and all these other people who never do anything. It's the new trainers that always defeat them. And you know what? It's absolutely true. Well, aside from maybe Colosseum, but whatever. I never liked Colosseum anyway, so free PP up here. Definitely don't miss out on this, because, as I said before, it's a bit harder to acquire than in Black and White 1. So this random NPC is just gawking at Team Plasma's ship, which is kind of weird in a way, because, you know, this place is supposed to be all dangerous and stuff, and here you have this NPC just sightseeing like, duh! Anyway, even though this place is disguised as an old sailboat, there's much more to this place than that. This is Team Plasma's frigate, their main stronghold and their base of operations in this game, since, well, their castle got wrecked in the first game, so they went with something a little smaller, but a hell of a lot more convenient with this frigate. So, as you might expect from a villainous Team Stronghold, it's crawling with grunts. So, we are going to be expected, just the three of us, me, Hugh, and Sharon, to wipe them off the face of the earth. And Team Plasma thinks the odds are so incredibly in their favor that, I mean, you're villainous Team Grunts. You're just going to get your asses kicked. You know that? Even Hugh knows that you should probably call in reinforcements, because that is not going to end well. Anyway, we got a few battles to do here, which is going to buy me enough time to ask you a question in Gray, just the kind of Pokemon I didn't want to see, because Lilligant is still in the lead in the actual in-game scheme of things. Excadrill was only chosen as my lead for the tournament, remember? But yeah, quick question for those who intended to start with Fennekin. I already asked this question on my blog and got a few answers, but those of you who wanted to start with Fennekin, now that a Wi-Fi event for Speed Boost Blaziken, which is the very first distribution for Speed Boost Blaziken outside of Japan, by the way, now that this has been announced, and you can presumably get it very early in the game, though there might be disobedience issues, since, well, it doesn't have your trainer ID and everything, but still, now that this has been announced, are you maybe reconsidering starting with Fennekin? Because I'm gonna say this. We don't know anything about those new Pokemon as well as what kind of old Pokemon there will be in the Kalos Pokedex. But one thing I can safely say is that, well, Speed Boost Blaziken do want. I mean, sure, I've said multiple times that any kind of team planning prior to the game coming out is just kinda silly, but it's freaking Speed Boost Blaziken. It's gonna take so much power creep in order for me to not use it that it's not funny. So, I beat the two grunts that were assigned to me, so let's just talk to the other ones and see just how hard they're getting owned. And yeah, this is a piece of cake. Go back up Sharon, and there are going to be a few more battles after that, so I'm just going to talk to these while this is in progress. That little punk was too intense. Well, at least he didn't lose before the battle even started like that one in Nimbasa, but still. I'm not losing? Yeah, sure. I haven't received the Pokemon yet. See what I was talking about with villainous team grunts? The higher-ups of those villainous teams are so bad that they don't even equip all of their grunts with Pokemon. They are just that bad. Holy crap. So, are the gym leaders going to interfere with us again? Well, I don't think it's because Sharon's a gym leader as much as because it's Sharon, and he's just the kind of guy who would mess with Team Plasma just because he can. And hey, this is the one we met in Burbank. Kind of reminds me of that one Aqua Grunt that you keep running into over and over and over at the beginning in Emerald. So, two on one, huh? Well, too bad I dispatched the other two grunts with absolute ease, so now it's time for a 2-on-2 double battle alongside Sharon. Just like in the good old days. Too bad Sharon has only normal types this time around, which isn't good news. Though, I guess the normal type used to be among the best in the game. It was unquestionably second best to Psychic thanks to moves like Slash and Body Slam and Hyper Beam being so effective back then. And, of course, Snorlax in Gen 2 was just outrageous. I was reading the most recent issue of the Smog a few days ago, and there was an article talking about the Gen 2 metagame, and as it turns out, there are many people who think that Snorlax was so good back then that it was even better than the likes of Mewtwo and Lugia, and the only real reason why it wasn't outright banned was because, well, suspect testing didn't exist back then, and then there's the fact that banning a non-legendary seemed absolutely outrageous at the time. In fact, remember when Garchomp was first banned in Gen 4? It felt weird even for those of us who accepted that, you know, it had to be done, because all the Pokemon, aside from the obvious Wobbuffet that were banned before, they were all legendaries. Of course, now it's a bit more commonly accepted to ban non-legendaries, even though the vast majority of what gets banned is still legendaries. So anyway, now that this battle is over, I'm going to be expected to go help out Hugh, which I'm going to be doing next time.